Hello, everyone. Today, we're going to talk about an issue that's been steadily increasing since the pandemic. I'm talking about employment scams. Hello, everyone. My name is Jesse. I'm an employment specialist, and on this channel, we go over basic job search skills. Full disclosure, I'm also an employee of Epilepsy Toronto. Let's get started. Today, we're going to talk about scams, warning signs of scams, as well as some tools and tips that you can use to help protect yourself from these scams. Disclaimer, this presentation is not meant to prepare you against every scam that's out there. It's just meant to give you an idea of what to look for and how to prepare yourself. Scams will vary in their complexity, and they definitely change over time. Scams are looking to make money through deception, either by stealing or other fraudulent means, or by stealing someone's identity. In terms of your social insurance number, there's only 2 times you should really be giving that out, and that is when you're accessing a government-funded employment program, such as Epilepsy Toronto, or when an employer is putting you on their payroll. There's generally 2 warning signs that you want to look for when assessing if something is a scam. And one of them is an employer's attitude. Are they selling you the job instead of screening it? Are they even concerned if your skills are a match for the job? I've seen some of these scams skip interviews, and they're very dodgy about questions. They don't get into any sort of detail. Now, someone has said, well, what happens if someone approaches you for a job? Well, if they're approaching you a job and giving you the job and you haven't applied for it, that's probably a scam. Headhunters are a special kind of recruiter that go and find people and encourage them to apply. They never give them the job. They ask them to apply, and so that they can go through the same process as everyone else. Warning sign number 2, weird business practices. So this may look like an odd form of payment. They may ask you to download their company software on your computer. They may ask you to use your bank accounts for their business transactions. There may be upfront fees, such as you have to buy all this product, or you have to purchase a flight upfront, or specialized training. Now, there are legitimate purchases that can be done through this, but they are not upfront. They are deducted from your payroll. So I know some employers have a policy where people buy their uniforms. This is done as a deductible through their paycheck. Another common scam I see has to do a lot with temporary or staffing agencies that like to charge people for referral fees or to do their resume. In fact, this is illegal in Ontario. Here we are at ontario.ca. This is a guide for employment standards. And this particular section outlines things that staffing agencies cannot do. So they're not allowed to charge a fee for an assignment for an employee, or even they're not even allowed to charge to even attempt to look for work. And the laws go even as far as to say they cannot even charge money for resume or prep services. And there's a number of reasons for that, because there has been a lot of fraud. At the end of the day, the government is also paying employment service providers to provide these services for free. So they're already rendering this service that's coming out of people's taxes. So I highly suggest that people take advantage of government-funded employment programs. You can check out Employment Ontario, ODSP, OWEI. These are all places that will direct you to local service providers. So let's talk about some tools that we can use to assess potential scams. Number 1, and one of my favorites, is Glassdoor. Glassdoor is a great place to go for information. And you can assess a company, but you can also look at what jobs they've had. You can take a look at salary information, even interview questions. So overall, this is a great resource. One of the great features that I really like about Glassdoor is that everybody who uses it has to contribute to it. So you can't just go and get this information for free. You have to actually provide information, such as a review or salary information. And it more or less looks like this. So you can do a company review, salary information, interview review, or talk about some of the benefits of that particular employer. So for example, I work for Epilepsy Toronto, and you have to give some pros, some cons, and some advice to management. And when you're taking a look at this area, you want to see if there's any themes that jump out. So are people who are giving them a good review, are they saying the same things as people who are giving a bad review? Generally speaking, if people who are pro the company and people who aren't are saying the same thing, generally that would be true. Next up after Glassdoor is Google and social media. There's a lot you can actually get from Google and social media, particularly the age of reviews. Scams in general have a very short shelf life, so they scam people and then leave town. So you want to look for longevity in other areas of their digital footprint. Websites can be created very easily this day and age, but it's very difficult to replicate third-party digital footprints, such as Google reviews. Here's an example of Epilepsy Toronto. As you can see, there is 2 years of history on these 2 reviews. I didn't go back any further. I'm sure it's even further back than that, but that gives you an example. Also, this is a great place to take a look and see what sort of themes and trends have emerged in dealing with this particular company. All right, third up is LinkedIn. What I really like about LinkedIn is that sometimes it takes time to really put together a decent LinkedIn account with a really good profile and history. Generally speaking, scammers are not going to invest a ton of time into creating social media profiles. So you want to take a look on LinkedIn to see who's worked for that company before. How long have they worked for that company? Do they have industry connections? So these are all things that you can examine and look at that will give you an idea if something is a scam. So if no one's worked for them, they don't have a social media footprint, no one's been there on Glassdoor, is it really a company that's been around? Number 4 on my list of tools to assess potential scams is the Better Business Bureau Scam Tracker. I really like this website because it really can illustrate if a scam has been done before. So there's a number of great features on this website. One is you can search by the type of scam. You can also enter keywords in from the scam, such as the company name, and see if there's any hits out there or if someone else has come across this particular company before. And with 1,200 scams found just under the employment heading alone, that's a fair decent sample size. Number 5 on my list for assessing potential scams is the Little Black Book of Scams. This was created by the Canadian government, specifically the Competition Bureau, and they've created a listing of all the different types of scams that have been out there. And recently they've come out with a second edition to their book. Now, what's really good when you go on this website is that they have it in multiple languages, everything from Arabic, English, and French. So you just want to go through and select the one that's most appropriate to you. And finally, my top tips. Use employment service providers such as myself to vet companies. We've been job searching for many clients. Chances are we have a good feel for what's a legitimate company and what's not. So use this as a resource. Number 2, be mindful of some of the warning signs. What's the employer's attitude? Are they selling the job or are they vetting for the job? Do they have odd business practices? Make sure you research the company. This is also great when you're in an interview because then it gives you an idea of some good questions to ask and it makes you seem more engaged. Also, you want to know what you're getting into. So when you are in an interview, ask lots of questions. If something doesn't seem right, ask about it. Apply directly to companies' career pages. So a lot of these scams sometimes hang out on job boards. So it's still good to use job boards to go and see if a particular posting is available, but then also check it out on their company career page. And some companies have posted very recently that they've been seeing an increase in scams, and they've been posting that on their company career page. So it's a great place to go and see if that in fact has occurred. And finally, when in doubt, dig, dig, dig. When it comes to employment scams, because they're not legit, generally there are holes. So if something doesn't seem right, find out what doesn't seem right. Take that extra time, ask yourself, talk to an employment service provider, dig deeper, examine their social media. There's a reason that you're feeling that way, and you might not be able to put your finger on it, but it's important to make sure that you're working for someone you actually want to work for, and it's actually work. If you enjoyed today's content, please hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you next time for more job search tips and tools. If you're interested in learning more about interviews, check out our interview workshop. Have a good day.